maybe just got
connection issue, I guess. Hang on. Oh, we have somebody else joining at the same time. So, hi, Stephanie. Oh, can't hear her yet. Hang on. Connecting to audio. Connecting to audio. I love that. It's just sitting there connecting to. Damn, Donald Trump looks good back there, guys. It's the best he's looked in 4 years.
What's up? What's up?
There we go. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good.
I'm sorry, we're hosting right now, so.
Oh, no worries at all.
Hear me just fine.
Oh, perfectly fine. You guys having a little get together?
Yes, a lot of our neighbors are here and some family, so that's nice.
Awesome. So, we're first off, welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you. I'm so sorry I'm late. Okay. I was like, oh my God. I was even late to my own party.
No worries at all. No worries at all. So, first thing, where are you located at?
I am here in Dallas, Texas.
Perfect.
Yeah. In August, we moved from California, born and raised California. And then in August, we just decided to go for it.
So did California's governor or mayor, did Newsom have any issues? Hi, Trump.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Trump just came back in the picture in the background.
Okay, there we go.
Now, did that have anything to do with you moving, or was it just for other reasons why you moved?
Nope, that was it. We lived in Los Angeles, and we were just tired of the insane housing prices, paying so much, and then seeing just our streets just littered with just trash and just debris from transits, and you can't do anything about it. And we really felt that we were alone because, we are Trump supporters, and we really felt that we were the only ones. And so it was like, I kind of want to be where there's more people like me. And so we left.
One of the things that was surprising whenever we first started talking and kind of introduced to each other was you became very vocal. Was there a moment in time where that was like, I need to be more vocal on my social media platforms?
Absolutely. After the death of George Floyd, and everybody was coming out, calling cops bastards and just giving them a lot of crap. I thought, this isn't right. This isn't okay. And it made me really angry, because that's not all cops are majority cops are not bad. So it wasn't easy, coming out and speaking against the narrative, but it had to be done. So I guess I'm kind of used to going against the grain. I was bullied in school. I didn't have a lot of friends, so I was kind of used to it. So, I think that prepared me early on in life to just kind of, speak for myself, and it's okay if you're alone in your views.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, and that's the biggest thing is I've said from day one, to me, it shouldn't be a matter of who you're voting for. It shouldn't matter. You know what I mean? I've said that, you know what I mean? I understand you might not agree with one side or the other of whose views is what, right? If you want to say, if Stephanie Hampton wants to scream to the loudest crowd that she wants to be a Trump supporter, that's fine. If Shane over here wants to scream to the loudest supporters that he's a Biden fan, that should be perfectly fine as well. Like we've got lost in the idea of it's not okay to be one-sided or another. You know what I mean? And that's
right.
We've lost the sight of being Cubans.
I didn't, I do know some people they are Democrats, and they think completely different than I do. But it's the way that they go about it, you know. I can respect that. I want people to respect my views, and so I do my best to respect others, so long as they're not ugly about it.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%, 100%. Right now, I mean, obviously everything's pulling close. Did you go in and vote, or did you vote by?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Did you? That's what I'm talking about. What? All right, all right. So let's skip the whole. What do we have on the food menu tonight? Is the real question. I think that's what everybody wants to know here, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. I made a really pretty charcuterie board. That's kind of my specialty because I don't cook. And then my husband, he made something. I don't know, but it's delicious. It's kind of like it's a hot sandwich. And then our neighbors brought over like black bean soup, and it's just kind of like a potluck going on.
It's like the Super Bowl, right? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Except for it's,
Yes.
it's the
Oh my
election.
gosh,
Right?
I'm so nervous. I have a lot of faith, but it's just I think it's normal to be so anxious.
Yeah, it's
How
crazy
are you
to me
guys feeling,
because a
by the
lot of
way?
people have come out and talked one way or the other. Like there's a lot of vocalness about this election, and it's like there's uneasiness from either side whether it's going to be who wins one way or the other, right?
Right. I've never experienced anything like this. I've never experienced anything like this. Um, this is pretty intense. It is.
So when you voted, did you vote by mail? Did you vote in person?
Oh, we went in person.
Did
We
you?
went in person. Yeah.
How was that? How was that experience for you?
It was really fast. We went to a church up the street from our house. It was really fast. Um, it was all electronic, and then once our ballot printed out, we put it into the machine ourselves. So that was nice. That was reassuring. Um, and it was peaceful. So that was nice too.
That's for me as well. Is like I always try to find. I don't want to say like hole in the wall. That's not the nice thing to say about
Right.
churches, but I
Yeah.
just want to find a very small church where I can, and that's the kind of thing that I did. I kind of slid in, slid out,
Mm-hmm.
and was on my way. Real quick, I want to announce. Shane posted here the first Senate seat flipped in Colorado. Hickenlooper defeats Gardner, which is interesting. That's a big one right away. Shane, you got any touches on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean that was super close. I think it was within 1 point a week ago. So that's the first Democratic, first Democrats Senate seat gain. So we'll see what happens from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Stephanie, what else you got for us?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any questions for me? I mean, aside from me being very vocal,
Yeah, my
think?
question is, how in the world did you get at Stephanie on Instagram? That's.
I know. That's my husband. He does he has a social media business.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you want to plug that, or I mean, it's fine if you do. I don't.
Social. No, not right now. Social media
Okay.
marketing. He does a lot of marketing. He's the middleman between the celebrities and the product that they're peddling.
For sure.
So
No,
yeah. So he has at money. He's had that for quite some time, and I've had Stephanie for some time. So that's kind of nice. It's easy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you been vocal this whole time, or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like my goal from day one, from doing all these shows, is not about my point of view. It's about everybody else's point of view. It's about having the conversations and understanding that we can have healthy conversations about how, the first interview that I ever did was with Samir, and we talked, and it was literally like 2 days after she really spoke out, right? And came out very strong, and we talked about it, and we've talked every day since, really. And then it was like, all right, so I've heard from her, then I talked to 100 Days of Summer, which I think is a very brilliant guy. Dude is super smart.
Yes, yeah.
He articulates himself very, very well. I sat down and interviewed him. We talked a lot about his stuff. I talked to Cobb as well. I talked to some Biden supporters. For me, my biggest goal with this entire thing is bringing parties together to understand that we all can have a difference of opinion. Like, you know, just around the table here, you know, Shane to my right, left. I don't even really know. I can't. Hang on. Let me look at my live coverage real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't
actually,
know.
During it's weird. I looked over at the live coverage. He's actually below me, which is weird because so he's below me. And then of course he's a Biden supporter. And then of course Tori over here. Tori, she voted for
Hi, Tori.
Tori, who'd you vote for? What's his? I forgot.
Joe Jorgensen.
Joe Jorgensen. Yes, there we go. So that's the thing. Like it's about the conversation. It's about
and I understand that. You know, when the days that I kind of feel frustrated, I understand. I have to remind myself that everybody, you know, they come from a different background, and that shapes their views, that shapes their perspective.
Absolutely.
You know, and something that a lot of people don't know about me, and they assume that, you know, they see these squares, these pretty little squares of this perfect life, and they assume that my life has always been that way, when in fact I was homeless as a teenager, and I was in and out of juvenile hall, and I was on drugs, and I had my first son at 14 years old. He was stillborn, full term, and you know, it took a long time to kind of get on the right path. And you know, I come from a family that is just heavily drug addicted, and you know, my cousin, she was 20 when she just overdosed 3 weeks ago, and that's not the first overdose in my family. And but I just even though I was in it, and even though I, you know, walked that path, I'd say up until I was at least, I don't know, I was in my early 20s, because I went to jail a couple times in my early 20s. There was always a little voice in my head that told me life can be different. You know, life doesn't have to be what you see around you. Life doesn't have to be, you know, how you were raised. But I just couldn't get it right, because I didn't know how to live any other way. And it just, you know, slowly but surely, one good decision after another good decision. It took discipline. And I cut off all of my family. And even though I've had several, you know, deaths in the family, since cutting myself off, I still haven't reached out. It hurts that they, you know, of course it's family, but I cannot go back there. I can't go back there. And that's it. We live in America. we can make any, this is, you know, we can make any decision, any choice. We decide our lives, you know, not necessarily our upbringing, not necessarily, you know, the white man. You know, we decide our lives. We are in control of our own lives.
For sure.
And that was really important to me, that I be in control of my life, and I determine the outcome, not anybody else, not my background, not my upbringing, me. And so that's what led me to where I am today. And I have a very healthy, functioning family. So, and we worked really hard, you know, lots of therapy, my husband and I, but we did it. And, you know, and I figure if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Absolutely. For me, first off, I obviously this is first time we've ever spoken face to face like this. We've talked a little bit here and there on Instagram. Me, that's inspiring, right? You know what I mean? That's a story that everybody should hear. You know what I mean? We all have different walks of life. We all come from different backgrounds. And if somebody judged you by you 5 years ago, let's just say, you know, 10 years ago, and exactly, right? You know, for me, sometimes it's like, did you judge me from the person that you met one day that I was in a bad mood and I just gave you a cold shoulder, and ever since then you've been ill towards me? It's like, you don't know what that particular person has gone through in their entire life. Or was it a song somebody heard on the radio in the middle of the store and that's why they gave you the cold shoulder? Like, people don't understand that we are humans. We make mistakes. And, you know, there's a lot of story behind the motions, the actions, the words that we speak on a day-to-day basis. So I would, side note, I would love to have you on a completely separate podcast.
Okay.
I want to give myself my own cheap plug. I decided I wanted to do a Women Appreciation Month of the month of December.
Oh, that's cool.
On my podcast, and all I'm going to do is interview women in different walks of life and let people hear their stories. So that's a cheap plug on my own show, which is not really a cheap plug, I guess. I can do that, right? But no, that's inspirational. It is. It's moving. It's like we all have a story, and you need to get it out. And I appreciate. And that, to me, hearing that's to me is like I need more people to hear your story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I want that because.
And I think again, when I post, stuff about Donald Trump or, just my views on I am pro-life. I remember that day that I found out that I was pregnant. I was 14. My mom was on my bedroom floor crying, begging me to have an abortion. And I wouldn't do it. And my son definitely served. I didn't understand it at the time. Of course, I was very angry with God. I was very, very angry when my son passed away because that was my chance to have. And my 15-year-old, I got pregnant at 14. I had him when I was 15. But in my 15-year-old mind, that baby was going to give me the unconditional love that I didn't experience at home. Right. And so for God to rip that away from me just made me very angry for a very, very long time. But I understand now why it happened, because growing up, I didn't see a loving mother. The aunts and the older cousins and even my grandma, they weren't warm, they weren't affectionate, and so I think that I had to experience a loss so great at such a young age that shaped me to the mom that I am today. But also, I do believe in tough love, and I have an 18-year-old, and he has to walk to work, and it's like, okay, you walk to work and then you save up your money and then you buy yourself a car. But if it's midnight, of course we pick him up. But
you're just not gonna leave him in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the day.
I think it's really important for me to find the balance of, okay, I overcame this certain, I overcame poverty, and I'm out of that. My husband is out of that, but we don't want to raise these bratty children now. And so all of my views just really align with, the right, with more, I do lean more conservative. So
absolutely.
People, again, they think that, well, you have a perfect life. You've never experienced anything. Of course, it's easy for you to vote for Trump. And I'm like, no, because of what I've experienced, I'm voting for Trump. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes sense. And that's the thing, it sounds cheesy, but that's your right. You know what I mean? Like that's, it's all of our right to kind of vote for whoever we want instead of being chastised. Yeah. I've seen some of your Instagram posts,
what shaped your views, or what shaped your views, or your views,
Right. Exactly.
Experiences. Yeah. So when I get
so I see sometimes on your Instagram posts, I see the comments. It's majority of them, I will say, are positive. You know what I mean? You do have there's negativity in there. You know what I mean? A lot of negativity.
And especially my DMs.
I can't.
Private.
I can't even imagine. So I really appreciate you coming on here and telling your story. Like I said, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to reach out afterwards. We're going to talk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on.
Already?
Huh?
Did you talk?
Yes, she was on. She was on very, very early. She came on the first hour that I was on. She came on.
Yeah. So, can I ask any questions?
Ask whatever you want to, for sure.
Okay, so the gentleman down here, you voted for Biden. So can you tell me what was it about that, or about Biden, that just really caught your attention?
Yeah, sure. No, I've I definitely am fairly left leaning, and I think for me, I really feel like Joe Biden really brings back that head of state role to the presidency. You know, I think he is someone that cares about people. I think he is someone that shows compassion. You know, I think he's someone that has experience. And you know, and that's what I really want in a president. You know, I want someone that is going to represent us well, you know, to other countries, build those relationships. And, you know, I think it's something that he's going to do. I agree with most of his policy views. You know, there's definitely some things that I would do a little bit differently, but you know, I think when we have a presidential race where you have two choices, you know, that in this case that have, you know, that shot to win the whole thing, then, you know, I'm going to vote with who I align with the most. And that was pretty easily for me, Joe Biden.
Yeah. So if I can ask you if you can confirm or clear up a rumor. So the rumor is that, you know, Biden and Kamala will lead us to a socialist country. Do you feel that that's accurate?
No, I think I think it's very difficult to say that when, you know, I mean, look, I probably fall further left than Joe Biden does. And so, you know, I don't think he's taking us as far left as someone who would consider themselves quote unquote socialist would be, right? You know, a true socialist country would be taking everyone's property, re-administering people's property. Now that's not something that's going to happen in the United States of America. I think using government resources and, you know, building those things and like providing those kind of safety nets, you know, I think that's something that is, you know, is a part of a republic. You know, we've had.
I'm so sorry about my dog.
That's fine. And, you know, I think we have moved in to that direction from, you know, the Franklin Roosevelt days in terms of they're very popular programs that are quote unquote, you know, socialist programs, right? Things like Medicare, things like Medicaid, things like minimum wage, you know, and so I think Tori can kind of chime in too, because I think Joe Jorgensen is definitely, if you want to say, kind of anti that, right? Of kind of getting rid of those type of government safety nets. You know, that isn't socialism. And I think that's kind of the misconception, right? Of really what socialism looks like and really what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not just a movement to bigger government, but is a movement, you know, a true like socialist country would redistribute wealth. And that's not something that we do. You know, higher taxes isn't redistributing wealth. It would be taking people's property and, you know, redistributing that. It's not something that's going to happen. You know, no one's going to come and take your house and give it to someone. Joe Biden's not going to do that. You know, so I think it's a little. I think it's hyperbolic. I think both sides definitely in a presidential election, you know, go to hyperbole and definitely use that to instill fear or motivate people to go out and vote, and that's fine. But very, very rarely have we seen that happen. You know, on either side, go to those kind of extremes.
And how do you feel about you know, Joe Biden wanting to, you know, take our guns away? What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think he's for that. I don't think it's not something that he said. It's something that Beto O'Rourke has said, right? Someone that he does support.
On his website. If I go grab my phone, I can show you.
Not in terms of taking weapons directly away. So it's never been a position of his. And even if it was, let's say that it was, that's not something that is legal in the United States or would be passed in the United States, right? The government's not going to come into your house and take your property away. That's not something that we have really.
So if the government can lock us down and shut us down, and if the government can, you know, tell us what businesses are essential, who is essential, if the government can decide that, who gets to work, who gets to earn an income, why do you feel that a government could not decide, you know, that they're going to take your guns away, or that you have to pay taxes on the guns that you do have, or, you know, they're going to buy them back? Why do you feel
they can buy them back? That's not taking your guns away. If you want to sell your guns to the government, they can do a buyback program. That's not taking them away, right? That's your choice then, if you want to give that gun over and have them pay for it, right? And I think that's exactly what it is. I think trying to link link taking away of guns to a lockdown in a pandemic. I think there's two very different things. I think one is, I think there still is some choice, right? Of
rights.
Well, that I think that's an opinion you can have, right? But I think
we don't have the right to open up certain businesses.
They can. I mean, look, if you wanted to, you can.
You don't have the right to go somewhere without a mask, without getting fined. So that's an infringement on our rights.
That's a fine, right? So you can do it if you want to. I've not seen anyone that was running a restaurant.
We don't have the right to send our children to school without vaccines. We're forced to vaccinate. We're forced to shut down. So why wouldn't we be forced, to, I actually saw a video of a guy that, he's also voting for Biden. And he said, if somebody has 3 houses and they're only using one, they should give up those other 2 houses. Do you feel that way?
No, I think one guy's opinion isn't going to reflect what the president's going to do either, right? I think there are people.
I saw a video of Kamala. She said, I actually didn't watch the whole thing. That was hard for me to watch, but she was talking about equality and was it equality and equity? Was that what she was talking about? And she was basically talking about having the same outcome for everybody. So, we not only does she want us to start out at the same level, but she wants us to also end at the same level. So did you see that video of her?
No, but I think at the same time that sounds like generalities, right? I think it's about us each having the opportunity to get to the same level, right? I think
we already have those opportunities in America.
I think that's definitely a matter of opinion too, right? In terms of who kind of maybe has a greater opportunity than some. I think going back to your point in terms of in terms of vaccines and lockdowns, right? That's a Supreme Court decision. Jacobson v. Massachusetts was the decision that public health does allow the government to do those things, right? And so there hasn't been a Supreme Court ruling in terms of the government coming in and taking your guns or your weapons. I think each of these situations are different. And, I think that is kind of the key in our plurality government, that we can make these decisions in terms of, okay, what is needed to help the greater good. And public health has been one of those that, we decided 100 years ago is something that the government can do, versus things that are written into the Constitution that would require changing the Constitution to actually happen. So I just think a lot of the socialist hyperbole is really too far, especially when there's been the Trump campaign's been critical of, I think I remember from one of the debates for sure, of Joe Biden and some of the policies that he passed in the Senate that were kind of in that law and order vein, right? That we look back, that many on the left look back and say, hey, that those were very harmful to people of color. And so
the 1924 crime bill.
So I don't think he can be both. You can't say you can't say he's socialist on one end and then say that he kind of has done the opposite on the other end. And so I think when you have someone in Joe Biden who has been in government for a long time, to me,
47 years.
Has changed through time, which I think is important. I think it's important to grow, like we were just talking about, right? People grow and change. I think it's something that he has done, and so I think that's okay to do. And but I don't think it's happened to the extent of the reason why he won the Democratic nomination, whether I agree with that win or not, whether Ricky agrees with that win or not, right? Is is that he wasn't Bernie Sanders, that he wasn't that far left. And I think the Democratic Party kind of rejected that. And, so that's why I don't think that is sticking as it has in the past. And I think that's the reason why why this is a really tight race. I don't think the socialist label has really worked in a lot of those areas that, the states that President Trump's going to need to win tonight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So that clears up the rumor then. Okay. All right. Well, that's, I guess, kind of like the only question that I had, because, you do start to generalize, and it's like, are they all socialists? Is that what they want? And want. So, give me. And so that was, and it's hard to believe that Americans can actually feel that way. Right. It's really hard to digest that, to even think that, that Americans would feel that way. And so, when the right is saying, that the left is pushing the socialist narrative, in my mind, it's kind of like, I didn't 100% buy it, but I also, wasn't ready to say, no, it's not true, because you don't know. You just don't know these days, I guess. So.
Yeah, that's because I think for me, and I just want to speak here, is I think that's because when you watch the news, which I think is so toxic.
I don't watch the news, actually.
I don't either. I refuse to.
I tried 2 nights ago, actually. I was watching Tucker Carlson. I absolutely I adore that man. He is a bulldog. And even watching Fox, I was just like, I can't do this. I've got to turn it off. It was giving me anxiety. Just too much. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, we will never have unbiased news coverage. Never. It doesn't matter if you want to turn on CNN, you have one way. If you turn on Fox News, you have another way. It doesn't matter what you're watching. And for me, the news has always been depressing. I've never understood the old adage of come home from work and flip on the 5 o'clock news.
Yeah.
And then you just hear. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's some heartfelt stories in the news. I just never hear them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, the downside of the world, I think, obviously, is awful social media. People that get their news from headlines. Mm-hmm. Facebook is something that's brutal. Twitter. And I think we all need to get better at that. And I love the idea when, I don't know, it was just something that happened to me. The first time it happened, it was weird. I went to retweet an article and it said, did you read the article? And I'm like, no, I didn't. But it was not even, it was just like a stupid sports article that had nothing really, it was nothing that could have been subjective or anything like that.
Right.
But it's true though. People will look at a headline that says Trump stole a car when Bob, and then that's all it says. And it could have been when he was 6, or it said Biden ate a hamburger and he swore off hamburgers 20 years ago. Like they just see that one piece of a headline and it's like, well, let's run with it. And it's like, and then you go to work, it's like the cooler talk. You know what I mean? Hey, did you see that headline? Joe Biden ate a hamburger at McDonald's, even though he told us, the American people, that he's no longer going to eat hamburgers anymore. And by the time it gets to the third person, not only is he eating hamburgers, he put cats and dogs on top of it. It's just, it's a problem with society as a collective.
It absolutely is. I post, videos on my story. And, your story only shows 15 seconds of the video.
Right.
But if you click it, you get to see the whole thing. So I posted the story, and the on the front of the video was Ice Cube. But my caption was, I absolutely agree with you, Diddy. Because Diddy was like, I don't know, 45 seconds in. And then somebody DM'd me and they're like, oh my God, that's not even Diddy. What are you talking about? And I was like, you didn't watch the video, did you?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I feel stupid. I'm like, watch the video. I'm not putting this stuff out there for nothing,
Yeah,
so,
but
exactly. I think we're just so used to getting information so fast. It's like, how can I get it faster and faster and faster, that we're not paying attention. We're not stopping and paying attention and reading the article. We need to read the article.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's exactly right. I always say to this, obviously, because I do have a couple shows. I run a website and stuff like that. So like social media is a must in my world, right? So I have to post on social media. But then sometimes I'm just like, I just wish that I could delete all of it and be done with it. But, at the same time, I don't want to work at my job that I'm at for the rest of my life either. So there's like the other side of it of like, I have aspirations that are outside this world that I live in. But it's crazy to me how it's so matter of fact, and you're right. It's people want it. That's the biggest problem. People want this stuff right now.
Yeah. And with social media, like I'm following this person. It's a smaller page, but I like their content. And he DM'd me and he said, I like that you are, you're even though you're verified, you're so down to earth. And I said, why wouldn't I be? It's just a check mark. People think it's like this badge of like superiority that they let it go to their head. And I'm like, this could be gone tomorrow. This is so stupid. And I feel like for a lot of people, it's probably done more harm than good, so just, yeah. Social media is interesting. That's for sure.
It is. It's like, it's one of those things. I love it and then I hate it, but I think it's always going to be a love-hate relationship. Don't you agree, Shane?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be a little bit of that, love-hate relationship all around, right?
Yeah.
Tori, you got a love-hate relationship with
social media? Yeah, definitely. I still get comments on videos where I've had to fight people about my opinions on a certain topic that isn't even political, but I still have to fight people on things. And then I get another comment like months later because the video starts blowing up again, and they're making the same comments, and I have to just do it all over again or just ignore it. But I don't want to ignore it.
Just ignore it.
I'm not used to having so many people all at once. So all of a sudden my videos start blowing up and I feel like I have to reply to all of them,
Yeah, but then, it's just going to they're just going to keep coming back, and you can't have an opinion.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to have an opinion. There's a comment section for a reason, but don't comment.
And actually, most of the videos that I make where people like to challenge me on them, they're just facts. They're literal facts.
Yeah.
But people will still challenge me on them, and I have to like link articles and statistics all over again.
Yeah.
I fight vegans on the internet, if you don't know.
I used to be a vegan, but I didn't fight people.
I have no problem with vegans.
Yeah.
I have no problem, but I have a problem with the people that think that everybody can be vegan and that there's no reason not to be, and that it's like a perfect, like it'll stop you from having any diseases and stuff.
Yeah. No.
Insane.
My family and I were vegan for almost 3 years. I had ulcers, and this was before I was vegan. I found out that I had ulcers, and then we went vegan shortly after. Not for that reason. We just stopped, we just started eating plant-based. I guess I should say we're plant-based because I still wore leather and vegans don't wear leather. So we were plant-based, and a few years later, I just went to get a checkup just to see how these ulcers were doing, because I decided not to take the medication that the doctor prescribed because the possible side effect is stomach cancer. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. So I'm not going to take that medication. And it turns out that I don't have ulcers anymore. And then when I Googled all this information, I found out it's because I was just eating a plant-based diet, and it has like flavonoids or bioflavonoids or something like that. And so that helped, but then guess what? I just kept gaining weight, and I could not get it under control. And it just, I thought, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't be plant-based because I guess it's just so high in carbs. And so we cut it out. We just stopped, and it just wasn't right. My body didn't respond. My body did respond, but then it didn't respond, and and
that's actually the case for a lot of people. After a few years, they just realize their body isn't taking it anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can go vegan for like their entire life, and I think that's great. And yes, it does reverse a lot of health issues, but along with that, there are so many reasons that people can't be, like allergies to like beans and soy, which are the main protein sources, and a whole bunch of other allergies too. And there was somebody on TikTok that said, well, why do you think they have those health issues? It's because they like were born and started eating non-vegan food immediately. Would they have those if they were vegan their entire life? She was assuming that if somebody was vegan their entire life, their health would be perfect. And that's just absurd.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, it's not true.
Yeah.
Man, vegans, that's a hard one.
Because you can't prove it.
Kudos to you for taking that on.
It's funny. I'm actually vegan as well. So
Are you? Yeah. Are you vegan or plant-based?
I'm vegan. I don't like labels. No. I will say every once in a while. No, every once in a while I do partake and we'll have. It's like sometimes like I need a good juicy steak. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a once in a while thing. I know it's like, oh my God, you're really not vegan. I'm like, well, 364 other days of the year I'm not eating. Calm down, guys. You know what I mean? Don't come after me, guys. But yeah, it's just this decision I made. There's certain things I'll just never eat again. Anything that comes from a pig. But there's just, there's just certain ways of why I am the way I am, which is just, you watch a couple of documentaries and your life are ruined. So
yeah, man.
I mean, that's exactly what happened. I watched a couple of documentaries and my life was ruined for the rest of my life. It was just like,
that's their tactic. And a lot of those documentaries are very fabricated and they're very isolated cases of people abusing animals that end up getting arrested and even they get fired and arrested and charged again because of from those farmers, because they are one, hurting the animals, and two, ruining their reputation.
Yeah,
because farmers usually, they really care, and of course big factory farms and corporate farms aren't really the same, but there are a lot of small local farms, especially where I live. I live around a lot of dairies in Arizona, so my area, it's a lot easier. Not for everybody, but there are online programs. There's one I just found. I think it's called Butcher Box, where they only work with.
That's where we get our meat.
Yeah. They only work with farms that are very ethical, and I want to start it because I just found out from binging with Babish, and I think they use recyclable packaging too, which I really like.
Yeah. So I recommend it. We get a box every month, and we enjoy it. So I will say that's another positive that came out of watching those documentaries was so we did eat plant-based for several years, but then once we decided to incorporate meat back into our diet, we're like, okay, we need to be more selective about where we're sourcing our meat from. And even when we go out, we order food, I still think, is this from a factory farm? So it's definitely in my mind. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, if it is, it's fine. I'll live. So
oh my God, when I eat a burger or something, if I decide to divulge, obviously I go and I'll get whatever the plant-based, the ones that only eat straw vegetables and Skittles, you know what I mean? I'll go get those ones. And
I just ate a Skittle.
Did you? Oh, that was
my son gave me one. He's like, Mom.
That's perfect time. I didn't even know. That's just as for the lottery numbers will be on Friday. No. But for me, I'm selective on what exactly I'll decide to partake in. But I have no clue where I was going with this because the Skittles now are in my brain. I want Skittles. You know
I'm sorry. Okay. But I'm so sorry. My husband is just giving me the death stare now. We have company.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you for joining us. Seriously. Thank you so much. And I'll send you a message about having you on, just you and I in the near future. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Bye guys. It was great meeting you.
Bye.
Nice talking to you as well.